Okay, so another signature joint. This time we look at sleeping dogs, right? This is from Adam Cooper, who co wrote the film with Bill Collage. Uh, it is produced by Collage and Cooper, along with Mark Fassino, uh, Deborah Glover, who else? Arun Kumar, Puya Shabazian, and Henry Winterstern even. Uh, Ryan Ryan Winterstern executive produces along with Joey Suquet, Anthony Standberry, Michael Sirao, Vishal Rangata, Ankur Rangata, Kelly Rogers, Cliff Roberts, Viru Rapafi, Rupert Preston, Delphine Perrier, Ari Novak, Izibio Munoz Jr., Noah Lang, Nathan Klinger, Kuala Deep Kasi, Joshua Harris, Sanjeev Guyal, Matthew Goldberg, Greg Friedman, Ariane Fraser, Vladimir Fernandez, and Clayton Fernandez, Jatin Desi, Ford Corbett, JJ Carruth, and Marcus Bolton. Co-executive producing is Jackie Fletcher, Anita Levin, and Jamal Sannon. Right, David Hirschfelder was on music, Ben Newt cinematography, Matt Villa edits the piece. Nathan Lloyd was down with the casting, Penny Southgate production design, Colin Robertson is art direction, Kim Reed was set decoration, Zed Dragojovic took care of the costumes, hair, makeup, all of that jazz, prosthetics. We've got Andriana Demetrius, Rachel Walton, Larry Van Dijhoven, Sharon Robbins, Laura Punteri, Selena Peretzel, Vicky Morris, Carmen Moretti, Helen Magalaskis, Pamela Locarani, and Helene Glover. So our cast, right? Russell Crowe is Roy Freeman. His ex police partner is Jimmy Remis, played by Tommy Flanagan. We have got Diane Lynch, played by Lynn Gilmartin. Isaac Samuels, played by Pasharo Mazembe. Richard Finn, played by Harry Greenwood. Wayne DeVoe, played by Thomas M. Wright. We've got Laura Baines, played by Karen Gillan. Marton Csokas is Dr. Joseph Wilder. Who else do we have? Susan Avery, played by Paula Andrell. Dana Finn, played by Elizabeth Blackmore. Kelly Grayson is Emily Dietz. Jesse the bartender is played by Arthur Angel. Our corrections officer Smith is played by Adam T. Perkins. Ming Ju Hee is Dr. Margaret Zhu. Eddie Finn is played by Simon Madden. O'Toole is played by Jasper Bag. Catherine Finn is played by Jane Harbour. Leonard the barman is played by Cameron Leonard. Officer Moretti is played by Liz Ikuzi. Officer Mitchell, played by Ryan O'Grady. Yelena, played by Zara Michaels. Yeah, I think that's probably our main group of people. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think we got our dude in prison, which is a bit odd. But anyway, yeah, our film, right? So the gist is, in this gripping thriller, Roy Freeman, an ex-homicide detective with a fractured memory, is forced to revisit a case he can't remember. As a man's life hangs in the balance on death row, Freeman must piece together the brutal evidence from a decade-old murder investigation, uncovering a sinister web of buried secrets and betrayals linking to his past. With only instincts to trust, he faces a chilling truth. Sometimes it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. So yeah, there we go. Now, Adam Cooper, right? He's the director, and this is his feature directorial debut. You know, working with Bill Collage, he's written a ton of stuff, so that's probably a good thing. It's actually based on a book as well. The book is actually called Book of Mirrors, right? It came out in 2017 and it was written by E.O. Cherovici. Yeah, I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, Cooper has a director's statement, and it says, as a storyteller, I am drawn to characters in crisis. The nature of that crisis can take on many forms: identity, morality, faith. But at the center, there's always someone who is struggling to make sense of their life. Someone who goes on a journey from a lost or fragmented state to one where they can begin to restore themselves. This is very much the story of our protagonist, Roy Freeman. His crisis is an existential one, as he's struggling with the most existential question of them all: who am I? His memory loss has robbed him of his quality of life. The foundation of who he thinks he is on any given day is built on sand, unstable and ever shifting. It's like part of his soul has been taken from him or wandered off. Roy's quest to reclaim his past is the emotional core of Sleeping Dogs, but that quest will be fraught with peril, as it's only through an investigation into a forgotten murder case that our protagonist can achieve what he seeks. The irony of this is that in achieving his goal, he wishes he hadn't. He wishes that he had just let sleeping dogs lie. Cinematically, I aspire to make a movie that stands among the greats in this genre. Christopher Nolan's Memento, Alan Parker's Angel Heart, Scorsese's Shutter Island, and am excited to take viewers on a journey into Roy's forgotten past, to take them on an investigative thrill ride, ripe with twists, turns, and surprises, but to also make them feel everything Roy is feeling. What thematically excites me about this story is that it deals with the role memory and our awareness of our past plays in shaping who we are, how we look at the world, and the way in which we behave. It is a universal notion that what has happened to us, what we have done, or what has been done to us irrevocably influences who we are. But what if we could forget all that? What if all the trauma of our past could be washed away, forgotten? Who would we be? Is ignorance in fact bliss, or is forgetting all that is bad? Is there now no point of reference or what it really means to be moral and good? Existential questions for sure, and one that our protagonist will confront on his journey to eventual redemption or reckoning. The film was a labour of love between our actors and crew in Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for being such willing collaborators on our directorial debut. When you give everybody permission to bring their ideas to the table, you end up with something enthralling. So, yeah, that was Adam's goal. He achieve it? That's the question, right? That's the big question. And on the face of it, right, looking at this film, it's put together well, right? It's got that kind of dark, brooding feel to it, So as a thriller, it looks like all the components are there. It's this story about this man. When we first meet Roy, like his apartment is covered in notes and labels and stickers, right? Saying, you know, oh, do this. This is this. Your name is this, right? So you automatically you understand there's a memory situation. And I think one of the notes even says you have Alzheimer's, right? So he's got all of this stuff around the place. And then we see him at the doctor's, right? Because he's got bandages all around his head. So you're like, okay, what's went down? And he's had this revolutionary surgery, electrodes in his head to create new synapses to cure the Alzheimer's. I don't even know if this is a legitimate thing they're doing. Never heard of it, but that's what's happening in this, right? So, yeah, he's had this surgery, and then he gets contacted about this case. This guy is on death row, right? So all of this is there, which could be so rich, right, as a story. Now, the Alzheimer's, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, does he remember things or doesn't he remember things? Right? People can leave notes for themselves, but you've seen it where someone, could have a note or they've been told, okay, make tea, the tea bags are just there, boom, boom, boom. So they could go fill up the kettle. And now they've forgotten what they're doing. Like, why am I holding a kettle? Like, what was I doing? So it's all well and good having notes, but that still doesn't necessarily fix things. But we don't really see that. There's a bit where he opens up the fridge, and this is at the very beginning. It's full of Hungry Man meals. I didn't even know they were still a thing, but it's full of Hungry Man meals, and on the front are stickers like take it out the box, you know what I mean? Put it in the microwave for this amount of time, take up the film, it's hot, right? Just all of this. He opens up the microwave and there's a TV remote control in there and it's been microwaved, right? So we still have supposedly there's things he still forgets and all of this, but there's not really evidence of it. You know what I mean? It looks like he's fine living his life, you know, which yeah, you're kind of scratching your head because you know he if he forgets anything, it seems to be like, oh, because if he remembered, then he would do this and the film would be over essentially. Right? It's all very convenient, the whole memory situation. Now, because I think one big thing here is why did he get the surgery? You know what I mean? Like, it, because there's always a reason, but we don't know what that driving force for Roy is. Is he looking to get his job back or looking to get any work? Is it so he can remember his kids, his family, his what, like what? What is it? What's the reason here? Is he's had this surgery. So obviously, throughout the film, he's going to be remembering more things, but it's not even really, for me, it didn't feel like it was captured in a way where there is that, hold on, huh, am I, so you could see, oh, it looks like he's remembering things more now, right? You don't really any sort of gauge into what is he remembering, what is going on. There's one moment of hallucinations, but that's it. So it all becomes a bit like, you know, because it's just like, why is he asked to look into this case? Like all the people he meets, it's all, again, very convenient, right? Especially for someone that has no memory, right? Everything just falls into place. Now, once the film is done and we see where all the dominoes lie, you are left with a ton of questions because there's things that doesn't make any sort of sense. Because you're like, okay, if someone, has answers, why wouldn't they just say it? Right? It makes no sense not to. Like, you would just say it. You know what I mean? Like, that would just solve everything. Because you just think those in Roy's life know he's had an operation. So they know he'll be, you know what I mean? So it's just like, just say it. Then there's these kind of subplots of manipulation, which make no sense now, right? There's something we learn about a person that's supposedly in a certain place, which then, if they were, they'd have the answers on what went down as well, right? So you are kind of, it's a house of cards, but its base is water, right? So it's falling apart. It's falling apart real fast, which, I mean, it is a shame. It's a shame because, as I said, look, it's this compelling idea. And, Cooper mentions, what I mean, these films, Memento, Angel Heart, Shutter Island. You know what I mean? He mentions films that do this thing very well and have a story so intricate that when those pieces come together, you're like, oh fuck yeah. No, that's like, oh, that's so smart, right? I remember oh my god, what's his name? God, he wrote Sherlock and Coupling. Oh my god, he's such a great writer, and he took over Doctor Who for a few years when Matt Smith was Doctor Who, and he wrote like the last episode David Tennant was in, which then came together with an episode with Matt Smith, and the writing was so insane. Because in the Tennant episode, you'd see him talk to someone that we don't see and do things like pick things up, and you're like, what? And then in the Matt Smith episode, you see the other side of a lot of those things. So it was so smart, right? And it's that cool sort of writing where you're like, yo, oh my days, this is so well put together. And it's that what Sleeping Dogs is missing. That's what I felt anyway, right? I'm sure people watch it and be like, yo, oh my days, I didn't see that. That was so good, which is great. Boom. It works for you. All power, man. All power. But I don't know. I'm watching it and I'm just like, yo, these things don't make any sense. You've also got, right, Karen Gillan is a really good actress, but her accent in this and then her portrayal are so odd that you'd say if you were a cop or anyone looking into this, asking her questions, you'd just be straight. You'd be like, well, clearly you're lying and you're full of shit, right? None of this makes any sort of sense. You know, we just got those things that you're just like, huh? What is happening here? Right? And then you've also got Roy, who, although he's supposedly forgotten everything, he still knows how to do everything. Still knows how to do everything. Like, it's a decade old case, but then supposedly there's all of these breadcrumbs still there where you just think like, wait, after all this time, wouldn't this stuff be gone in the wind? You know, hard to find, but it's not. It's mad convenient. Mad convenient, you know? And there's something that he finds where you're just like, surely you'd open that up straight away. And it's not until the very end where he opens this thing essentially. And you're just like, hey, yeah, you would have done that earlier. Like, this is odd. This is odd. So yeah, Sleeping Dogs. It doesn't live up to Memento, which, oh my god, is so good, right? Shutter Island or Angel Heart for me, anyway. But they are good reference points, right? If you like that twisty, turny film, you know what I mean? Every moment you're uncovering new things, new details. If that's your kind of thing, then maybe you want to look at Sleeping Dogs. It's out on VOD in the UK on Friday, right? The 21st. And I think it's already out in the States and Australia. So yeah, but all the information will be on the website, right? As the social links and all of that kind of stuff. So boom, if it sounds like it's for you, you can see where you can find it, where you can watch it, all of that jazz. So Sleeping Dogs.